Someone You Should Know. A program about people you know and even more that you don't. Hosted by Stuart Sax, veteran, husband, father, and grandfather. Now, here's your host, Stuart Sax.
Well, hello again. And if you're watching this when it launches, it's the day before Thanksgiving. So this show is going to be your appetizer to a big day tomorrow. We welcome you to share this show. We are going to have some real fun today. And we are brought to you by our good friend, Christine Dean, who is the networking diva. And, you know, we just love Christine to death because she takes care of us at this show. She is a coach. She is a marketer, a networker, a strategist. I mean, she does everything. She can put people together. She also can help you take your current website or your current marketing plans and elevate them to the next level. You can have a free consultation by reaching out to her. Christine Dean, the dfwnetworkingdiva.com is how you can reach her. You'll see it on the screen and all. And you know who Christine is. She is the love of my life with this show. She's been helping let me do this show for, we've been thinking well over 5 years. And that's a lot of shows, folks. She knows what she's doing. So if you can use her help, reach out to her. Well, we're going to have some fun today. And my guest is going to be that appetizer for tomorrow because she's a fun lady. Cathy Nesbitt, welcome to Someone You Should Know. It is so great to have you on the show. It's a happy time of the year. We're in the holiday spirit now, and you do so many different things. I was talking to her because we're going to be scrolling her website across the screen for you to drop in, but she's got 3 different websites at least to begin with, and they are all kind of different, but you do all kinds of things. And I guess at the core of it is you're teaching people how to be more environmentally savvy. And you consider yourself to be an environmental innovator. What is that, Cathy? And what made you say, this is what I want to do? This is what I want to be?
Wow, that's a loaded question, Stuart. Thank you.
Sure, why not?
Let's start.
Yeah, just dump the whole thing in your lap at once.
Well, here we go. So my working title is Cathy Crawley Laughing Bean Queen. Those are all 3 of my offerings.
Cathy Crawley Laughing Bean Queen.
So I offer simple solutions for today's challenges: worms for amending the soil, sprouts for eating, and laughter for overall health and wellness. It's the 22nd anniversary of my worm composting business, Cathy's Crawley Composters.
Really?
Yeah, selling worms by the pound for indoor composting. Like, who doesn't want worms in the house?
For those that are watching and listening, they're probably saying, whoa, what an out of the box kind of a subject. Composting. I remember many years ago, we bought a house, and the gentleman that we bought the house from was an older man, and he composted in his backyard. The back corner of his yard was a big compost. And I didn't know because it looked like just a hill of ugly dirt. But I found out later that it was probably the richest soil that I could have for the garden because of composting, and started to learn a little bit about it. And is that something that you have done for a long time, or is it something you learned and you're sharing it with others?
Yeah, so how did it start? So I'm located in Canada, just north of Toronto, largest city in Canada. In 2002, the landfill for the Greater Toronto area filled up. And although Canada's second largest country in the world,
Right.
We couldn't find a place to site a new landfill. And so we started to export our garbage to the US. Sorry.
Oh, thank you very much. Like we
Sorry,
needed
how
more.
Canadian. Yeah. So, and It hurts my heart. I mean, there was almost 1,000 trucks a week were leaving the Greater Toronto Area weekly or monthly, I should say,
Yeah,
monthly. Wow, and wow, it's just like such a short-sighted, not even solution. But I had a solution. That's what's kept me going. This is what I'm promoting is indoor composting with worms. So Toronto, as my example, large urban center, 6 million people in the Greater Toronto Area, half live in condos, townhouses, without space for outdoor composting. And I understand that not everybody that has the opportunity does it, but at least if you have the opportunity, you could do it. If you live in an apartment, it's more challenging. So I had a
right.
worms in the apartment, and they are in the box. So this is out of the box solution, but the worms are in the box. Don't worry, they're not free range.
And now, is the idea of composting in a box in an apartment or a condo uh, still the same thing in order to make a rich soil for you to use for your plants and vegetables that you're also growing in an indoor setting?
Yes, but not initially. I was concerned about all these trucks leaving Canada for Michigan. I wanted to stop the flow of the trucks. And I mean, it cost a fortune for us, for the privilege of us to ship our garbage, first of all, like our tax dollars hard at work. Sorry, we don't
Yeah.
have to have money for school or healthcare. I mean, we've got to just ship the garbage. Oh, what? Really? Okay. And I joke. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm sarcastic because otherwise I'd be bawling in the corner. Really, it's serious. So yes, initially it was as a waste management tool. And here's what I say is the worms are going to play an ever increasing role in waste management, soil production, and therefore food security. These little worms play such a key role, and it's been about, well, it's 22 years that I've done my worm business, and I've learned so much. Initially, it was, as an entrepreneur, you start a business because you believe in what you're doing. I hope so. You have to, because there's no sales yet.
Right.
Right. And I did. I believe so much. I didn't even think about people don't want worms in the house. I was like, no, you need this. This is important. But people don't buy what they need. They buy what they want. This has been an uphill climb. Thank goodness I have all this energy and belief in what I'm doing.
Now, I mean, my only real background with worms was earthworms that you put on a hook in order to catch fish. Are we talking about that same, or are there different varieties and species of worms that are particular for the project that you're doing?
Thank you. Yes, there are thousands of types of earthworms.
Wow.
Only four have been identified for vermicomposting. We're looking for surface dwellers. So the worms that we fish with generally are the dew worms, the big honking night crawlers. And those are great, but they're not composting worms. They're the tills of the soil. So they live below the frost line and they come up at night to draw their food. They eat carbon, so they would eat leaves or shredded paper, but they wouldn't eat your food scraps, and they would be very uncomfortable in a container.
Interesting. So the breed of worms that you're using specifically, you take your table scraps and you just put it right into the box or container where you're kept, and the worms just say, "Ooh, thank you. I'll have another."
Yeah, so the beautiful part about, yeah, so a container like a Rubbermaid, some kind of tote, they need a carbon nitrogen mix, just like outdoor composting. So the carbon would be brown leaves, shredded paper, paper bags, paper plates, any material like this, the drink trays, egg cartons,
Okay.
would be your bedding. That's the carbon. The nitrogen is your food scraps, coffee grounds, your manures if you had a guinea pig, or um, not that you would want to have horse manure or cow manure in your house, but
What
you
about a
could.
cat? If you've got a cat.
No, I wouldn't put kitty litter in because there's different
Okay.
because they're meat eaters. So you don't
Okay.
you could put the manure from your rabbit, like your vegetarian animals.
Very interesting. And how many people do you estimate are doing this? not only in your area, but maybe in all of Canada.
Well, not as many as I would like.
Sure. Well, yes. There's always room for another customer.
Well, it's not just customer, it's bigger than just making a little bit of soil. It's managing our scraps so we don't have to haul it around, so we don't have to spray chemicals. Because what the worms are creating, they're the original alchemists. They're converting our garbage, what we call garbage. There's no
Yeah.
garbage in nature. They're converting what we don't want anymore into something that we want, black gold, nutrient-rich soil. The worm poo, the castings, and the plants have this symbiotic relationship. It's plant food, nutrient-rich plant food, and it creates this immunity around the plants. And the worms have a great lesson for us. I do a lot of school workshops, and I have a kind of a little bit of a warped sense of humor. So I say to the students, like, and really, I believe this. Not that I'm not promoting eating shredded paper and our food scraps, but I say if we ate like worms, we would poop like worms. We wouldn't be spending time, you know, hanging around. We
Right.
would get our business done and get on our way, because our body, our beautiful body, would work properly. We don't take enough fiber in. And I'm not like, this isn't a dietary lesson, just the worms have a great lesson for us, and they can convert material into this nutrient rich soil. They take out heavy metals. Somehow nature created this beautiful creature that is here. So there, there's some types of worms, not the ones that we compost with, but the other ones that consume plastic. And I just took down a shed, kind of on a separate note. I just took down a shed that was really dilapidated. I was amazed. There was about 2 or 3 inches of black gold from sow bugs, the woodlouse. And there was thousands of them. So there might have been millions. I mean, it was just like, wow, it was fascinating how they were just consuming this shed. And I mean, it was pressure treated or whatever. So it was toxic wood, but now they've converted it into something. Nature is amazing. Anyway, that was a side tangent. You're welcome.
Yeah. Is this a science that goes back generations and generations and everything, or is it something that is relatively, current and modern?
Hmm. Oh, well, it's ancient, but it's not really reported. It's not very sexy, right? It's micro. We can't really see
Yeah.
what's going on. I say that we know more about the ocean and the stars than we do about the soil, which is where our food grows. Like the chemical engineers are super smart, and in North America we grow a lot of corn, wheat, and soy, so we need a lot of chemicals. And it works because the chemical engineers are super smart, but I don't know that it's the best thing for the planet, for the soil. It's not regenerative.
It really, it's a fascinating subject, and especially when you stop to think that if you've got a big backyard and you've got a place where you can do composting outdoors and all, in a big vegetable or flower bed, that you can use that composting material. But when we're talking about people who are living in tiny houses, living in apartments, living in high-rise condos, living in urban areas that would like that ability to do it and say, well, I can't because I just don't have the room. What Cathy is saying is, yes, you do have the room because you can do it in a, like you said, in a container. It just depends on the size of the container you want to invest in.
I was doing a lot of exhibiting before 2020. I was doing between 100 and 200 events. And I loved when people said to me, oh, I can't compost because I live in a condo. I'm like, oh, thanks for letting me know. You're my people. This
Right.
is for you. And there are beautiful systems now. If somebody doesn't want a Rubbermaid container, I get it. I mean, spaces, say if you picture a condo in New York City, like right downtown, or any urban city, they're small. So there are I was selling a system called the living, I don't have it anymore, the living composter, and it was the size of a stool, and you could actually sit on it, and it was a couple of trays, so you're only feeding one tray at a time. You have your shredded paper, your food scraps, your worms are there. And then when the tray fills up, you set the next tray on top, and there's holes in the bottom. The worms migrate up, they follow the food, leaving their black bowl
Ah,
behind. Magic. And it's a piece of furniture. So you take out one of your kitchen chairs, you put this stool there, you let your company know they're sitting on worms. It's fine.
yeah, it's a fascinating concept because I remember seeing over the last decade or so there are systems of growing plants and vegetables vertically rather than horizontally. People can build a wall like on a small patio in that condo and grow vegetables and things vertically on a wall. And you stop and say to yourself, "What? I never thought that concept was viable."
Right? Yeah, so beautiful.
It's amazing. All right, now let's change gears, flip the page, and now we go to another website that you have called Cathy's Sprouts.
Cathy Sprouters. Yes.
Cathy Sprouter, and now this is another form of nutrition that you can grow yourself in a small container or area too, right? And where did this start?
So, oh my gosh, Stuart, my life is like a magic carpet ride. My very first event exhibiting in 2002, Earth Day of all things, April 22nd, 2002. I'm at my very first event, and so the gentleman that designed the sprout grower that I sell was selling this thing there, and it was flying off the shell. It looks like a little spaceship. I'll talk about it in a sec. And people weren't buying my worms, they're buying the spaceship. And I said, when there was a break in the audience, I said, "What is that thing?" And he said, "It's a sprout grower." This gentleman was 72, a professional ballroom dancer. He's 95 now, still alive. He has no diagnosis. I mean, his mind's going a little bit in his vision, but otherwise he takes no prescription drugs. Wow, 95.
Wow.
Wow. Okay, so I don't need to know why something works. If something works and it's natural, I'm doing it. I'm like, "What are you doing? I want it." So I said, "Oh my gosh, so he told me about the sprouts. And so I looked at this man, really, I'm doing this because was a ballroom dancer, 6 foot, like lean ballroom dancer body. He had the crisp white shirt, the black vest. He was a gentleman. And I was like intrigued. So I said, "Wow, okay, I want to look like you, except I'll have to be a man and taller and all that stuff. But never mind. Okay, we have the technology." So he said, "If you're going to do this, start your day." 2002 was a big year in my life, Stuart, and I pay attention to the science, and I would encourage everyone to do that. So he said, if you're going to do this, start your day with 2 tablespoons of the sprouted mung beans. I'll talk about that in a sec. Every day. There's up to 100 times more digestive enzymes in raw sprouts than raw vegetables. As soon as we cook the vegetables, the enzymes are destroyed. There's still vitamins and proteins, still goodness, but no enzymes. The enzymes are the most important piece for why you want to eat sprouts. There's lots of reasons, but that's, for me, the most important, because when we're born, we're given enzymes. So we're eating, when we're young, we think we can eat whatever we want because our body's so resilient, right? It's a machine. It's
Right.
beautiful. Okay.
And our metabolism is very, very high and operates like a machine.
Right. It's at its prime when we're young.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. So we can do what we want. We can't. If we took care, we would be better off later on, but okay. Okay. So if we're not eating vegetables or whatever, we're not getting the enzymes, our body uses our reserves. So as we age, we get digestive issues. And it's more than just the food. I know it's stress, lots of things.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Okay. So we go to the doctor. The doctor says, "Here's a prescription for enzyme pills." So instead of taking an enzyme pill, eating sprouts. So that's what I heard from Tony, the designer of the sprouter. So here are the beautiful things about sprouts, in addition to the 100 times more enzymes. fiber, protein, minerals. They're hydrating, so they're juicy. As soon as we're thirsty, we're getting dehydrated. Hydrating, alkalizing. So in a acidic body, cancer can grow. So sprouts are alkaline food. They're correcting our pH. Hydrating, alkaline, regenerative. Oh my gosh, almost one of my favorite things, except for the enzymes. They're all my favorite. I love them all. Regenerative. So I'll use Alzheimer's. It's a degenerative disease. We can't grow back our memories, but imagine we can fortify our cells. Wow. Regenerative, biogenic. Oh, that's my favorite one. Energy giving. Like people are like, oh, you have so much energy. Wow, how much caffeine did you have? It's like, no, I eat biogenic food. Biogenic means life force giving. If we're eating live food, we get the energy from that food naturally. That was a lot.
No, it makes sense, because if it's something, look, we live in a society today where every time I turn on a TV or something, there's at least one or two commercials about taking a gummy and just chew on this gummy and it does 20 different things. And as much as it sounds like a great shortcut to losing weight or gut health and all that kind of stuff, the question is it really doing your system good to be eating something that's just processed into a little chewable, gumdrop type thing, and that's supposed to make you full, or it's supposed to make your system work properly. Whereas I remember sprouts were always a great thing to put on a salad, but I guess a key question to you is, you are talking about organically grown sprouts rather than going to the grocery store and just buying a package of sprouts. What's the difference in the nutritional value of the two? Obviously, I can answer my own question. The organic is going to be better than the store bought. What's missing from the store bought that is in the organically grown sprouts that you are talking about?
A few things. So freshness. When you grow your own, you're in charge of the freshness. I don't
Yeah.
know if you've ever bought sprouts like alfalfa sprouts or some kind of sprouts sprouted already. They cost a lot, first of all. And then sometimes you get them home and they're already funky. They're
Yeah,
already
yeah, get a little
slimy,
mealy. Yeah.
right? That's the bad bacteria. You don't want that. If you've got sprouts that have that, you got to get rid of them. Like, just sorry, you just bought them, but it's your health. And we sprout for our health. So using organic beans over conventional grown, it's pennies in seed form for organic versus chemicals, or I mean conventional.
Yeah.
Right. So and growing your own, it's a great experiment. I mean, it's slowing down. Like, really, we can't wait overnight for them to grow. Wow. What's the matter
Yeah.
with us?
And it's a rejuvenating process too. It
It's
just
so
keeps
beautiful.
going. You use some, and then all of a sudden the next day they're back. They're back again.
I have a life supply of beans. So, what happened. So I know we're going to get to the laughter next, but with the sprouter, I pay attention to the signs. So 2002 was a big year. I started my worm business and I was introduced to sprouting. Big. I didn't know about sprouts, how to grow them, why to grow them. And this, before I launch away from where I was to the laughter, this unit that I sell, you can grow sprouts in jars or paper towels.
Mhm.
There's different systems. The system I have is very easy. It doesn't take energy or anything. It's a little hydroponic microclimate. So it's food grade plastic, about the size of a dinner plate. You don't need any light. So people will say, oh, I live in a basement, I don't have any windows. Good. Don't put them in the window because you'll get bitter beans.
Okay.
Right? Complete darkness is perfect. I mean, they can be on the counter. You can have just kind of light, but you don't want to put them in the sun. And this is a hydroponic, so it has a stainless steel mesh, a little bit of water in the bottom, the beans are on the mesh, and then it's got a little dome. That's it. And so it's a little microclimate. And you rinse them twice a day. It's very simple. That's what I call it, the super simple sprouter. I am high energy, but I have the attention span of a gnat. So if I can do this for 22 years, Stuart, and I don't go a day without sprouts because I'm so important, meaning my health and my wellness. And there's no room at the inn, and 2020 showed us that there's no room. Like, we can believe all we want that the government's going to look after us. And I'm not a conspiracy person. I'm a realist. This is the truth. If we look after ourselves, then we're whole. We're not dependent on the system. We're in charge of our own pharma by what we eat. And then the next thing, which will be the laughter.
And what's interesting again is, for those that are watching and listening and all, this can be done in a very, very small footprint. You don't need an acre or a quarter of an acre to do all of this. We're talking about things that can be done on a countertop or in a very, very small area. And you can be saving the planet. You can be doing things more organically for yourself and for your own body, in a very, very good, healthy, and also cost saving way, because you're growing your own. Okay, now we've gone through the crawly phase of Cathy Nesbitt and through the sprouting phase. The one that I want to drive you to the website, because you will be able to see on her website that you can find out more about the creepy crawly stuff and about the sprouts and all. But cathysclub.com couldn't be an easier website. Is all about laughter. And we're talking about organic foods that you can eat. We're talking about organic ways of composting and all. This is a really organic way to make yourself a happier person, because you have a laughter club and you even get together. Is it weekly?
Weekly. Yes, every Tuesday.
Weekly get together just to smile and laugh. And you have laughter yoga, which I want you to explain, what is laughter yoga.
Yeah, let me talk about how I got there first, since I've been stringing
Okay,
everything
please.
together.
There you
2012.
are, sitting on the grass.
Giggling.
Yes, the worm lady right there, it said.
So 2012, one more person said, "Ooh, worms in the house." And I felt it. I mean, I'd heard it. I'd been doing my worm business for 10 years. I'd heard it many times. I would say probably hundreds of times I'd heard it, but I wasn't listening. I wasn't paying attention to what my clients want. They say, pay attention and give them what they want. They didn't want what I had. But I believed, right? I knew that this was something that we all eat, Stuart. So we're all creating food waste. Yeah. So all the while eating the worm, eating the sprouts, eating the doing the worms, and doing them both together. Actually, exhibiting in 2012, Tony asked me to sell the sprouter with my worm business. So I was like, oh my gosh. So I started selling the sprouter. I was at 10 years eating them. And then I started selling it in 2012. And one more person said, ooh, worms in the house. And I was about to doff my important mission with the worms, because I was like, I don't know how to do this. This is too hard. This is, like this, I don't know how to get people. I have a psych degree, so I'm fascinated by people. And I didn't know people were going to be afraid of what I had. And I don't have repeat customers with the worms. They breed more than rabbits. So, there's so many challenges with this business. That's why I believe I was divinely guided. It was given to me because I have the energy and I have the passion for it. Okay. So I was like, I don't know what to do. And the very next day, you can't make this stuff up. The very next day, I was introduced to laughter yoga. And I don't even do yoga. And I know it's a fine thing. I just jumped right to the fun yoga. So what is laughter yoga? Oh, laughter yoga is not jokes or comedy. It's not doing yoga and laughing. It's laughing as an exercise. How fun. And as the laughter leader teacher, there's little games to inspire the laughter. So there's clapping, you clap palm to palm. you're you're activating meridians. You can get energy just by clapping palm to palm. The rhythm is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And the words are ho, ho, ha, ha, ha. So this gives us something to do with our hands. So for those that are in their head and they're like, what is going on? This is ridiculous. There's no jokes. How can I laugh without stimulus? That's where this comes in. Like Pavlov's dog.
Right.
We get primed for happy time when we're laughing. So if we can get out of our head and into our beautiful body, then we experience the magic of laughing for the health of it. Right. So if you're in your head, your ego, like jokes are fine. We're not anti-joke. It's just jokes go through a bunch of filters, right? Like, oh, I don't like that joke. That was a dirty joke. That's not my taste. I heard that joke before. Is it safe
Right.
to laugh with these people? What are they going to think of me if I'm laughing? Right. So all of these things, you see children, they're just laughing because they don't think about all the stuff. But for us, we need to, like, we don't want to look ridiculous. We got to make sure that it's appropriate. Okay, that's where laughter yoga just bypasses all of that because it's just laughing. We all know we feel great when laughter's the best medicine. I've asked everybody, have you ever heard that? Everybody has. And
Right.
so if that's the truth,
We've heard it,
my
but we don't necessarily live it.
That's right. My next question is, have you had your daily dose? Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, the love drugs. Yes, we're in charge of our own pharma. How wonderful.
What's interesting to me, and when you were doing the ha ha ha
Ho,
ha
ho.
ha, yeah, I'm thinking as people age a little bit, this is also maybe an exercise for arthritis to be able to add that dimension of keeping your fingers moving and your hands moving and all while you're doing this. And I think sometimes we forget the power of laughter, maybe because we live in such a cynical society that we don't laugh often enough. You also mentioned that you started really getting into this in 2012. Now, gosh, that's like on the shirt tails of COVID. We're going through COVID and everybody is stuck in their houses. You can't go out, you can't socialize. You need something for that cabin fever. And so, you can, compost with your worms and you can grow your sprouts, but you're also doing this with yourself, saying, I, I need to do something to reach out to and interact with other people and do something.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've been laughing since 2012 and it was kind of fun. I would go monthly. It was actually, I would go, it was a date night with my mother-in-law. We'd go out for dinner and she was so lovely. She passed, but she would say, we better not have garlic. And I'd be like, no, as long as we both have it, it's fine. Ha ha ha.
I've been there and done that. Garlic and onions.
And it was so much fun, but it was monthly. So it was kind of like a hobby or something. I didn't really take my laughter serious until 2020. Then the world shut down. I'm closed in my house, right? I was doing all those events before. And I took a deep dive into the expression, laughter is the best medicine. Like, what does it mean? And I started attending all these summits. And that's when I started my free online laughter club, June 2020. We just celebrated in June 4 years, every
Uh-huh.
Tuesday. We were celebrating your over 480 episodes. It's a commitment, but it's so much fun when it's your passion and you're helping people and you're connecting, and it's so beautiful. Yeah,
It gives you something to look forward to every week.
yeah,
Especially I would think that if somebody has a very tough week or a tough weekend, all of a sudden you say, "Oh well, but Tuesday's coming up, and I know that I'm going to be able to cleanse my funny bone by interacting with Cathy." How many people do you have that drop by on a weekly basis? Do you
Uh,
know?
Yes, I do. Oh, I had to expand my Zoom. It was 25, and then there was people on the second page. I couldn't see everyone. I didn't like that. I was like, there's got to be a way to make more. So I figured out a way to get 50 on there. So I get consistently 27 Zoom squares. Special needs and seniors are my wheelhouse. So I get
Mhm.
4 or 5 groups are attending. So usually about 4 special needs groups. So there may be 10 or 20 people in those groups, and I get a long-term care facility that comes. And it's so beautiful, Stuart. It's like music. We don't need the frontal lobe to experience the magic of the music, right? So for folks with Alzheimer's or other dementias, before 2020, I was going into long-term care, and it was like, as the laughter leader, I mean, you need a lot of energy because the people are, pretty low energy and not really sure what's happening. So you come in and it's like,
Right.
wee, youpie. So I'm exhausted by the end, but in a great way, because you just see the effect. It's energy. That's all it is. It's not, it's not jokes or comedy, little games. And some laughter people, I'm one. I usually play music, and I'll play music from the era that they're from.
Okay.
And so they
Mhm.
remember, and then, we may dance, or we might just like wiggle around depending on the capacity of the folks in the room. I said special needs. So if anybody's in a wheelchair, then everybody's in chairs.
Yeah.
So everybody's on the same level. We just play. You don't, like chair yoga, you don't have to move around. The idea is eye contact. So looking around, just smiling, playing. I do a lot of, as a laughter leader, I've learned a lot of techniques, a lot of energy modalities. So I incorporate, laughter goes with everything. It's complementary medicine. So I incorporate tapping, brain gym, qigong, just all these ways, whatever works. There's no magic bullet, even with laughter games. Like, I might really
Yeah.
enjoy something, but you might go, "No, I'm not really a fan of that." Good, don't do that one again. It's not for you then.
And again, that is moving the hands, the arms, the legs, stamping the feet and all. It's helping with the circulation. It kind of goes on and on and on. Now, is Cathy's Club just something that is you reach out to people locally, or for those people that maybe that are sharing this show with us, if they want to drop into to Cathy's Club to see what it's all about, can they just go to the website and drop in?
Everybody's welcome. I get people. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Last week I had South Africa, Lebanon, US, Canada, of course, Mexico, UK. It's
Wow.
it's like mind blowing. Like, wow, what a reach. And then all those demographics, right? The special needs folks, long-term care. I sometimes get schools. I do a lot of school workshops with my worms. And after, of course, 2020 came, and that was my main income, was going into schools. And I love it. I couldn't go into schools because they weren't accepting anybody. I mean,
Right.
everyone was learning online. When I went back in, it was 2 years I was shut out of the school. When I went back into the school in 2022, wow, it was a grade 2 class. So this was like kindergarten for those grade 2 students, right? This was their first year in school. Like, they were on
Uh-huh.
learning online, but with the other kids. That's what they felt like 5-year-olds, even though they were 7. And they were stunted, if I can say that. There was they I mean, I know the whole demographic is affected, but I said to the teacher, "Can you bring your students to my laughter club on Tuesday?" So she zoomed in. And then in Canada, for the first week of May, we do a whole week of mental health awareness. So
Okay.
she got in touch with me and she said, "Can we come to your laughter club?" And I said, "The whole school?" And she said, "Yes." And I was like, "Why not? Right? It's on Zoom. It doesn't take any more power, really." So I said, "Great." So there was 47 Zoom squares. And whenever, and I said to
Nice.
I was so excited. The whole school was there, Stuart. Can you imagine that day? And so I said, whenever I say, it was Woburn Jr. So I said, "Whenever I say Woburn Jr., I want you to throw your arms in the air and say Woburn Jr., yay." And I got the principal got in touch with me, several teachers got in touch. I mean, that day was electric. That day was like everybody was reborn.
You know, it's an area of our lives that I think we sometimes forget about. And you mentioned about jokes. I can imagine going into a senior center or whatever, that if you were to say, did you hear the one about, you see the people going, yeah, I heard that one. You know, there's only so much you can do, and older people remember old jokes too. But to do laughter in a different form, just kind of creates that happy space.
It's
Uh,
fun and play.
yeah, cathysclub.com is the website, folks. Check it out. Scroll through it as we did briefly here earlier, because there's lots of information on it. The you're a married lady.
Yes.
And all, is your husband into all of these projects that you are too? Do you share them together, or does he say she's just too much for me?
I'm a lot. You know, it's true, and it's okay. I know. Yeah, he's the head worm technician, and here's the thing. So he eats sprouts. He's the worm guy, and this is what we do full time. This is our jam. This is what we do, folks. So we are for hire, with the laughter. But he was laughter hesitant for, gosh, for a very long time. And when I say that, we have a small house, 900 square foot house. So it's not a large house. And we have one desk, and he would be on his computer. And before 2020, I was doing Skype laughter, 20
Okay.
minutes. It wasn't video, it was just audio for laughter professionals, and just practicing our craft. He would leave the room, and I was like, laughter's the best medicine. Why is he leaving? But okay. His story is that he wanted the laughter to be mine. Like we're like literally in each other's pockets. So he thought, oh, I'm going to let laughter be her thing. But for me, I was like, what? It's the best medicine. Come along. Like, what? Rise up with me. And so when was it? November 2022, we're walking in the forest, and I'm a laughter teacher. So I have a 2-day training. So if anyone wants to learn this, I do online training. It's the most fun course you'll ever take.
Super.
And I said to him, oh, I have a laughter training. I only have one student and they're paid. So I guess we're going ahead. And and he just turned to me and said, maybe I'll take the training. What? Blew my mind. Like I had no idea he wanted to, like, was interested. But how wonderful. So now he leads part of the Laughter Club on Tuesdays.
It's it
Wow.
it 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 is all fascinating. You are such a delightful lady, because you reach out to people and make them feel better about themselves, make them feel healthier, make them feel more responsible about their environment, and just make them feel good about themselves. I can't I can't thank you enough for taking the time to share your life and your passions with the people that are watching and listening today.
Thank you, Stuart. Oh my gosh. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. Thank you.
It's been a great show, folks. I always end my show with Oscar Wilde's famous quote: "Be yourself, because everyone else is already taken." And Cathy certainly is already taken in the things that she's doing. So again, thanks for watching Someone You Should Know. Go out, make it a great day. Look forward to seeing you again next week. And again, a big thank you to Someone You Should Know, Cathy Nesbitt. Thanks, Cathy.
Thank you, Stuart.
Someone